Guys, I wanted to do a tutorial on how we do our oyster mushrooms at the Seed to Seed farm. We got a lot of response from you guys on Facebook asking how I did it, and so I wanted to give this little video tutorial on how we do it. Now, it's not to say that this is the only way to do it, but it works for our production style, and this would be considered more of an indoor production, whereas we also will be having some production outside in the field as well. So let's get to it. You do need a few items to start with, and one of those is going to be obviously your bucket. This is a bucket production system. It's an indoor production system. So you do need a bucket with a lid. Just simple bucket. We'll go into some more specifics about each one of these items a little bit later in the video, but for right now, bucket. Okay, you also are going to need your spawn or your inoculant for whatever type of mushroom that you are going to grow. We do oyster mushrooms and king stropharia, so mushroom spawn. You're also going to need a couple of black plastic bags. They do not have to be anything special, just black and plastic. You will need some straw. We use rubbing alcohol and something to wipe with that. You'll need a drill, and you'll need a drilled bit for the correct size. And then I also use a cooler for pasteurizing. So you will need a cooler, or if you have a larger container that you want to pasteurize in, that's fine. I'm just showing you what we do. And then I also have one of our production tubs that I use to have a dormant period for the fungus. So those are basically all the things that you're going to need. You will also need some way to boil the water. We just put it on the stove. We have large stock pots that we use. And that's pretty much everything that you're going to need. Alright, so let's get into the specifics of each of these items. First off, for your bucket, a clean plastic bucket. It has to have a lid. And a note about the color. You can use white buckets, but I found that with using a darker colored bucket, it more closely mimics what a fungus would realistically be in nature. So you tend to get a little bit better of a production out of a dark colored bucket. On the other hand, if you do use used white buckets, because I know you can get those for free, you just want to be careful that you're sterilizing that bucket really well, because if it's used, you don't know how it was used or how it was taken care of. So I prefer new dark colored buckets. And again, in no way is this a plug for Lowe's. They're just closer to where I'm at. Okay, the next thing that you're going to need is to sterilize your bucket. I use alcohol. You can use hydrogen peroxide. If you want to, you can use soap and water. Just make sure that you sterilize the inside of the bucket, the outside of the bucket, the lid, the bottom, the whole thing. This is really important because if there's other mold or fungus that's left on there, it will compete with your fungus that you're growing, which is the mushrooms. So if you really want a stellar, outstanding mushroom harvest, you need to take the extra time and steps to do this properly. Next, talking about drilling your holes, you do need a drill, okay? And then we have this little tool right here that fits into the drill. These holes are at 1 inch, but we're actually going to be stepping down to 3/4. And there's a few reasons why I'm going to be doing this. The first one is that I am going to actually try to fit in a few more holes around the bucket because the holes are going to be smaller, but also when you harvest your mushrooms, you're basically going to leave whatever size hole you choose open in that bucket. And so that's going to dry out. I've seen some people put tape over them, you know, cover them up and whatnot, and that's perfectly fine. But for me, I'm just gonna step down to a little bit smaller of a hole. Next, you're gonna need straw. The straw has to be pasteurized, okay? So what that means is you're gonna kill all the harmful bacteria, mold, fungus, anything that could be on that straw. You wanna get rid of that again so that it doesn't compete with your fungus, the mushrooms. So if you go and you buy a bale of straw from somebody, you're going to have to cut that up. There's little pieces that you want the straw to be in. I've seen people put it in a trash can and use a weed eater. I've seen people sit there and painstakingly cut it with scissors. That to me is ridiculous. The tip that I found is go to either your Lowe's, your Home Depot, or if you have a lawn and garden store that sells bales of hay. At the bottom of that truck or that trailer or wherever they're keeping that hay, there's a bunch of this already there. They can't use it, so go ask them for it. I was able to get a bunch of this for free, already cut. So that right there cuts down on my production time when I'm setting up these buckets. Next, what you're gonna need is you're gonna need your mushroom spawn, your inoculant. Again, we use oyster mushrooms, that's what we see here. And then later in the season, we're gonna be having some king stropharia as well, but for this tutorial, we're gonna focus on the oyster mushrooms. This was bought from Borrowed Land Farms. Awesome facility, they'll give you tours, super nice people. They have a Facebook page and a website. You can buy the spawn from them, you can buy other strains. I'll leave a link in the bottom of the description so that you can reach out to them if you're in the area. So your mushroom spawn. You're also going to need a black plastic bag, or a couple of them. This is what you will sit your buckets in for a dormant period. So you'll definitely need that. Alright, so the next thing that you're going to need is a wooden spoon to stir with, and for us it's this cooler. I use this cooler because it's easy for me to move it around, and this cooler gets me roughly 2 buckets full of straw pasteurized. So my buckets are on a specific rotation where 3 happens to work out as a number for me. But again, if you're using something else, that's completely fine. This is just what we do. Also, this is easy for me to move because it's on wheels. So think about that when you're going to be moving stuff around. So in here, I've got my straw, and I've got it full of water, the hot boiling water. And basically, I just come in here and I'll move this around. And this is gonna sit in here for about an hour. That way it has time, it's sealed, so the heat really stays in here. This is very hot, you can see the steam obviously. But this will stay in here for about an hour. So whatever you're gonna use to do that, just make sure that your utensils are clean and that you clean this out first before you use it, whatever you're using. I clean this out with hot soapy water, and then I just rinse it out with my garden hose. Alright, and the last thing that you're going to need is you're going to need a container to sit this all in for its dormant period. You are going to be drilling a hole in the bottom of the bucket for drainage because you don't want mold to build up in the bottom of your bucket. So you do need another container to sit it in to catch that water. Don't make the mistake of not doing anything and you've got a big puddle or mess in your production area afterwards. going to take pasteurized straw that's been sitting in here for an hour with the boiling hot water, and we're going to strain it out and put it into this black plastic bag to cool off. Once it's cooled off, then we can go ahead and start layering and building our mushroom buckets. Once you have everything pasteurized, you have your straw cool enough to the touch that you can pick it up, and you've got your spawn ready, we can begin. So you want to take your straw and you're going to make a layer down in the bottom of your container, and you're going to push it down. Okay. Then you're going to take your bag of spawn, you're going to break some of it up that's inside. And a note about this too, if you just cut off the end, like the corner, instead of the whole top, you'll get less contamination in your bag. If you keep going in the bag with your hands all the way down to the bottom, you're definitely going to get this contaminated, especially if you're not planning on using it all at once. One of these bags does about 6 buckets for us, so if that helps you out in planning. But normally we do 3 to 4 buckets at a time on rotation, so you know, I'm going to have a little bit left, so I don't want it to be contaminated. So you're going to break it up inside the bag. Alternatively, you could take a chunk out of here and then break it up outside, but for me, I just want to make sure, and I don't want to waste any. So get it to the ends, and then you're going to break this up and just let it fall into the bucket. Make sure that if you get any big pieces that you pick them back up and redistribute. Just break it up. Just do a little bit more. We'll take this big piece out for right now. Okay. You can see that, but we'll get a close-up in a minute. And then you're just layering all the way to the top of the bucket like this. It's very simple. You just want to make sure that your spawn is evenly distributed throughout the container, and then you just come back with your straw, make a nice layer, push it down as you're filling the bucket to make sure that you can get as many layers as possible in here. And then you come back with your spawn. You're just going to fill the bucket like this. Filled up the bucket, and I like to throw a little bit of spawn just on the very top. Again, we've been pushing the straw down and the layers down every time that we make a new layer, and so this is ready to go. What we'll do at this point is we'll go ahead and put the cover on it, and then we will put it in a plastic bag, and we'll tie it loosely around the top of the bucket. And that's just to sort of simulate a dark place where this fungus would naturally grow, for the mycelium to take over all of the straw. Once that happens, then it will bloom, which is what we know as the mushroom. So that's going to take anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. Alright guys, and that finishes up our tutorial on how to grow oyster mushrooms in buckets. Obviously you can see we did 3 buckets from the amount of straw and supplies that we had. Did have a little bit of extra spawn left. And what I wanted to say was thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this or you have questions or comments, give us a like, share our video, leave us some questions, or if you have some additional tips you'd like to share with people, leave them in the comment section. But currently we're actually doing a fundraiser for our solar panels to run our farm with. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and check out our Facebook page. There's information on there. And if you actually donate on our Facebook page, we get to have all of the money without fees. Of course, we'll take any donations through PayPal, or if you want to mail us something like that. But a lot of times those avenues for donations, they take a cut of what we are donated. So Facebook does not do that. So if you want to support us, help us out by giving us a donation or sharing our donation and fundraiser page on Facebook. And from this upcoming Monday to the following Monday, what I'm actually going to do is for every $20 that you donate, I will give you 1 entry, and we will draw a name, and I will raffle off one of our mushroom buckets. It's going to be fully put together and ready to go, and all you'll have to do is come pick it up. So again, it's on our Facebook page, and it's a fundraiser for solar panels to run our farm on. And thank you guys again so much for watching this. And if you want to reach me, my email is chantalm@seedtoseed.org, or you can also go to our website, which is seedtoseed.org, and you can fill out the contact us and now form. All right, we'll see you next time.